What's up, everybody? We're back with another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you guys how I export stems in Logic. This is actually a session of a beat I created. I'm going to also explain how things would be a little bit different if I was exporting vocals, but pretty much all the steps are going to remain the same. So the first thing I want to do is highlight all the tracks that I want to get stems for, which is pretty much all of them. So I'm going to click the first track, hold shift down on my keyboard, and then click the last track to highlight them all. The next thing I'm going to do is select the range that I want stems for, which is typically going to be the whole song. So turn your cycle on, that's this button up here, and then drag your parameters to the very beginning and the very end of the song, like that. Now that we have that set, we're going to go File, Export. You could do all tracks as audio files or 13 tracks depending on if you left some out. So for me, I'm doing 13 tracks because I left out one of the files. Here, each of these boxes has a different purpose. So the range, you want to make sure that's set to export cycle range only, because that's why we set the whole parameter of the cycle in the first place. The next thing we're going to do is set this to wave, because typically engineers are going to want a wave file. My engineer is cool with 16-bit. Some engineers might prefer 24. It's up to you which you want to set that to. Next are these four different check boxes. So first is bypass effect plugin. So this is asking, do you want to bypass all the effects you have on each of these tracks? So for vocals, I will always check this box because I want to send my engineer dry stems. For that same reason, I take out the volume and pan automation as well. And I don't include the tempo information because I pretty much will always tell my engineer what the BPM of the song is anyway. So for beats though, I want to keep all of my effects on when I'm sending them to the engineer because I'm a producer and I like how I make my beats. Like I like the way they sound. So when I send them to the engineer, I don't want him to have to add in echoes and reverbs and delays and, extra things that I already did the work on. I don't want him to do that over. So I'm going to uncheck that. For beats, I also will include the audio tail, the volume and pan information. And it's up to you again about the tempo information. Normalize, I always set this to off because you don't want it normalizing all your tracks to be the same volume. And last thing, you could choose a naming pattern. This is like up to you. It's really not necessary, but say you want there to be no question about whose stems these are. Say it's a collaboration track and other people are sending stems as well. These are your stems. They'll start off that as the actual name for each of them. So I could put it like this is the custom name, which will be London Elixir, and then whatever the track is named. So whether it's a snare, a kick, or whatever, it'll say London Elixir snare. And then we create a folder for it for where we want to bounce it. So I'll just say ATL to MCO stems, create, and click export. We're good to go. Give it a little time. It doesn't take long typically, depending on how many tracks you have. And voila, now your stems are all exported. You could go find that folder you created and send it to your engineer. All right, guys, see you in the next video.